Okay, in the first slide that you see over here is a circle. Circle is divided into three parts, and this is a representation or just a diagram of your soul or your personality, the personality that God has given to you. What does it comprise of? Some people are strong in the area of emotions, and these are emotionally dominant people. And then there's other people that God has given them a very good mind. They're strong in the area of the mind. And there are other people that's very strong-willed. Now we have all three. Okay, all of us have got all three. We're just a blend of all these three. Now let's try and figure out what exactly happens to be your particular unique blend. Now in the second slide that you see over here is a little girl. She's offering to you her heart. She is a very emotional person. And to give you an example of people who are emotionally dominant, let me just give you a little example of people, in a church or maybe in a class, that they are attending. It might so happen that they might turn to their neighbor and say, the professor or the pastor, he doesn't even look at me. I don't think he likes me. I'm never going to come back here again. So you see, these are people that are emotionally dominant. Everything is about feelings. So some of us, it applies to some of us over here, that we are strong in the area of feelings, and we live our lives based upon the feelings that we have right now. Now the second category is those who are very cerebral, who are very mind dominant, strong in the area of the mind. Now look at that little slide of that boy who is very studious, big thick glasses, and he loves to study and research and read, and God has gifted him with a very good mind. Now does that describe you? Do you have a sharp mind? If so, then you might fit into this category of being very mind dominant. And now the third category is people who are very strong-willed. Now you heard the expression, some dad or mother saying, oh, she's a very strong-willed child. It's describing people like that. Look at the picture of that little fellow, just full of strength and a very strong will. To give an example, these are the people that on a highway, on the fast lane, they'll be driving at top speed, and they'll be gesturing to the people and to the person in the car in the front, saying, come on, get out of my way, and they'll be blowing the horn. So these are the kind of people that are very action oriented. They're always blowing and going and doing things. Now does that represent you? Now we have, every one of us over here, we have a blend of all three. Now what we have to discover is, what is our individual blend? So now the emotion dominant people who are emotionally strong, and they have a big heart. They are obviously persons. They love to be around people. They're more concerned about the projects. They're more concerned about people than about the projects or things. They are very good at relationships, and they tend to be love-based. They feel very strongly about their emotions. They can be caring, soft and intimate when it comes to their personality, and they easily empathize with the hurting people. They live in the present, not in the past or in the future, and they enjoy the moment. They can be fun people to be around with, simply because they enjoy people. They enjoy the moment, These are the people that are great in parties. You always want to have people like this in a party that you might be attending. Now they're good at very supportive roles, and they make very good followers. They like people-oriented careers, and obviously they have got excellent social skills. More. Now they can be people persons, but also they can be very easily offended. But they're quick to forgive and to move on. They want lots of affection, which may not be always available, but they feel very strongly for others who may be hurting, or maybe sometimes a little bit too much. Now their loving personality may be misunderstood by the opposite sex sometimes. They are very accepting of others. They love all people, but sometimes because of that they might make a little bit of error in judgment. They communicate with people at a heart level, right? Always at a heart level. And obviously when they make decisions, they base the decisions on how they feel right now. In fact, they even use the words I feel a lot in the conversation. It's very easy to love people like this. They're very easy to get along with. Now, does that describe you? What I want to do is to hold up a mirror to you and see if you can see yourself in that mirror, right? The second category is the will dominant people. These are very, very strong-willed. Okay, they are action people. They have strong leadership qualities. They are very mission or goal-oriented. They're confident, outgoing. They make very good leaders. They're motivated to achieve. They easily make decisions, even hard ones, spontaneously and intuitively. They say the words "I want" a lot. Okay, they tend to be power-based, independent, intense, authoritative, and dominant. They tend to be extroverts, and they're fast-paced in life. They need to be in the lead. They need to be in authority. They like to be around people too. Many of them have a very flamboyant, flashy lifestyle. They have many friends, and they're quite willing to use them too. They like to accomplish tasks, even very difficult ones. They like to gain status and recognitions from their achievements. They like words of admiration, recognition, and loyalty. More, they are very expressive, and they can do public speaking very easily. They can be confrontational at times. Sometimes they would rather argue or fight than back down. They can get angry easily, and they can express it physically too. Does that strike a chord with any one of you? And they will move towards control if no one is in charge, because they're good at getting things done. That's why. They can become dictatorial, if taken to an extreme. They can become a little bit of a control freak. But praise God that they have a soft heart underneath their very abrasive or strong personality. They're quite willing to die for the cause. And sometimes they're accused of being heartless, but that's not true. They make a great ally, but they make a very formidable foe at the same time. Now, this category of people, they are the people that make great reformers and activists and politicians and athletes, and business owners, supervisors, managers, that kind of people. The power people, the people that get things done. Does that describe you? Let's see. Now, these are only stereotypes or extreme examples. I'm just painting with very broad brush strokes. Nobody is 100% like this. We are a blend of all three. Okay. What we need to find out right now is what is your strength in each one of these three categories, and what is the order of that strength. All right. So let's continue this journey of discovery. Now, finally, the mind dominant people. These are the people that have got a lot of gray matter. They tend to be thinkers. They're intellectual. They're always thinking. In fact, they live in their minds. This computer is always running. They love to read, research, analyze, plan, etc. They're very comfortable with facts and data and figures and charts and graphs, things like that. They like a structured environment. They like order. They like anything that is planned. They don't like sudden surprises. They even use the words "I want," "I think" a lot. They use the words "I think" all the time, because they're always thinking. So obviously, when they choose a career, they're going to choose a career like a researcher or a scientist or a lawyer or an accountant or a professor or a writer or a programmer, those kind of things, where lots of data and information has to be handled efficiently. Now, these people, they make very difficult to understand subjects very easy and understandable for people like us, for the rest of the world. They're able to process things very easily in their minds. More, they make very good project persons. They're somewhat introverted at times. They can be a little bit distant with people, but they're slow-paced and reserved. Now, they're more concerned about the project or the issue than about the people. They like to avoid conflicts by avoiding difficult people. When in an argument, they would rather reason or talk it over, and they tend to overanalyze. Sometimes they have a problem called analysis paralysis, just thinking so much that they don't know what to do next. Unresolved problems can lead to internalizing anger, which leads to depression at times. Unfortunately, this is the downside of this category of people. Now, they express love by being responsible rather than being by affectionate or emotional. Okay? Now, they love the truth, and they hate to appear foolish or ignorant. If everything is about truth, about facts, they want to research the facts. Now, once again, I hold up a mirror to you, and I want to ask you, where are you? What is your strength? What is number one? number 2, and number 3. Now, let's go to the next slide, which shows the emotion-dominant people. With these people, this category of people, their personality is a lot about feelings. In fact, how do I feel right now? They even use the words "I feel" a lot. They tend to be love-based, and they come across as soft, slow, and intimate in their personality. Now, to them, God has given this fabulous assignment of understanding their own hearts, understanding the hearts of the people in the world, and understanding the heart of God. And they portray the heart of God to the people in the world all around them. How wonderful is that? The next category, the will dominant people. Everything is about the future wants. In fact, like I said earlier, they use the words "I want" a lot. I want to go to New York and finish that job. Then I want to go to New Delhi and finish that contract. Everything is about the future, getting the job done. They tend to be power-based. Okay, they move towards power. And in their personality, they come across as fast, hard, and close. Think of a politician. Think of a reformer. Strong-willed people, always action, always moving. Now, to them, God has given the job of understanding and doing the will of God. They actually do, because they are about action, they do the will of God. These are the kind of people, for example, they start companies and churches, they establish countries, they start wars, they end wars. It's about action. It's about getting things done. The third category, the mind-dominant people, is everything is about information, facts, figures, data. Everything's about the past information. In fact, they use the words "I think" a lot. They're always thinking. This computer is always running. They tend to be knowledge-based. And in their personality, they come across as a little bit distant, a little bit slow and hard. Think of an accountant. Think of a lawyer. Think of a college professor. They know a lot, but sometimes they might be a little bit difficult to connect with. To them, God has given the job of understanding the mind of Christ. They research things. They study the world. They study the Word of God, and they make complex and difficult things easy for people like me to understand. Understand the mind of Christ. Now let's try and figure out where exactly you fit in. The first category, the emotionally dominant category, they tend to be very relational. Okay, everything is about people. So obviously they will choose a career like that of a supporter or a helper or a server, a caregiver or a follower, where there's lots of people involved, where they interact with people all day long. Now, the will dominant people, since everything is about achievement and getting things done, they tend to become leaders and managers and directors, overseers, supervisors, expressors, influencers, where the job gets done. Now, does that describe you? So, and the third category are the thinkers, the mind-strong people. They obviously, will go for a career that involves organizing, researching, analyzing, processors, coordinators, instructors, planners, things like that. They like to handle, they're very comfortable in an environment where there's lots of information and data that has to be very efficiently managed. So now let's see where exactly you fit in. Now, let me just go to a verse in the Bible that says like this. It's from the book of Psalms. Psalms chapter 139 and verse 13, 15 and 16. This was written by the King David, a very famous poet, a warrior king. Now he writes these words: "You created every part of me. You put me together in my mother's womb. When my bones were being formed, carefully put together in my mother's womb, when I was growing there in secret, you knew that I was there. You saw me even before I was born. All the days that are allotted to me had all been recorded in your book before any of them ever began." So from this verse over here, I get the impression that there are at least two books in heaven that we know of. One book is called the Lamb's Book of Life, and I trust and believe that your name is written in that book. And there is another book, I believe, in my opinion, which has also got your name on it. And in that book contains everything that God desires in His plan for you to achieve, for you to accomplish. So now the responsibility is upon us to try and discover, with God's help, what is written in that book. For example, my Christian life, my entire life has been trying to approximate what's written in that book, and here I am. And so hopefully by the end of my days, I will match with what is there in that book that is written with my name on it. In order to demonstrate to you how critical, how important it is to be able to accept yourself and the personality that God has given to you, I'm going to act out a little mime or a skit. So bear with me, please. Let's say that right in the beginning, when there was God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and they are having a little discussion among the Holy Trinity. And the Father says, Son, you know that I'm going to create the matter, I'm going to create time, I'm going to create the cosmos, the galaxies, the solar system, the planet Earth. And I'm going to create mankind in our image just the way we are. And I'm going to give man the same faculties that we possess, to be able to choose between right or wrong, to be able to choose whether to love or to hate. And the Son says, yes, my Lord, yes, yes, Father, I am very happy to hear about that. And then the Father continues. He said, way down the road, in the 21st century, I am going to create you, my friend, who is watching my video right now. I'm going to create you with a certain personality and with certain gifts or talents. And I want you to be able to discover who exactly you are, the personality that I've given to you, as well as the talents that you have. Because I want you to be very fulfilled when you discover who you really are, so that you might have a good career, and so that you might be able to do my perfect will for your life. Because I have a will, a grand plan, a master plan for all eternity, and you have a certain part to play in that plan right here in the 21st century. I want you to be able to discover that plan and to be able to fulfill it, because really there is nothing more fulfilling than doing the will of God. So that, my friends, is in a nutshell, is what was in the Father's heart when He created you. What that means is that nobody is an accident. Nobody just was created by chance. God thought long and hard when He gave you the personality that He gave you, when He gave you the talents that He has given to you. They did not just come about accidentally. Maybe your physical characteristics came from your parents and to some extent your environment, but the drives and the personality that you have been given, in my opinion, they came straight from the Father Himself. So, that should make you feel very cherished and very, very loved, because God has fashioned you with a lot of love and with a lot of affection and with a lot of care for a certain purpose, so that you might come to know Him, so that you might be able to do His perfect will. So that, my friends, in a little nutshell, is what I am trying to get across to you in this little skit of God's desire in creating you and planning you. Now, let's go to the next slide, which is once again the circle, about the heart of God, the emotions, and the will of God for the strong-willed people, and doing the mind of Christ for the will-dominant people. Now, here we are. This is my personality. If I was to do this questionnaire this evening, I would draw it like this, the circle, in which I have drawn the emotional part as being more than 50%. I can't help it. That is the way God has created me. He has made me very emotional. That is the way I am. I may be masculine, but at the same time I am very emotional. And He's given me a good mind too, but I would rate that as number 2. And then finally number 3 would be the area of the will. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have any will. I do, but by way of proportion, it is much further behind than my heart, than my emotions. So that for me would be how I would represent my personality to you in the form of a pie chart or a circle. Now, what I would like you to do, my friend, is to draw your own pie chart or your own diagram. And it looks like this: the emotions, the mind, and the will. So take a minute or two and fill in what exactly you feel you are by way of your personality, exactly the way in which I created mine. And that you will find very beneficial to be able to understand and accept yourself. Now, it is very important for you to be able to accept yourself the way you are. Let me give you an example. In the family that I grew up with, we were 3 brothers and 1 sister, and my dad and mom, and everybody in our family was very strong-willed, and they had a very strong mind too. And it was only me in the family that was more in the area of the emotions, that was, more emotionally dominant. So you can just imagine what a hard time I had growing up, because my parents, they always pointed out to my siblings, my brothers and my sister, to me, and said, why can't you be more like them? Why don't you be more achievement oriented? Why can't you be more, do more and achieve more and be better in business or in jobs or in your studies? So I had a very hard time growing up trying to conform to my parents and to other people's image or opinion or what I should be like. So as a consequence, my friend, I spent a good deal of my adult life in trying to please other people. I went through 4 different careers. Yeah, 4 different careers. I went through about 25 different jobs, and trying to discover myself. Now I made a living. Okay, I made a living. I made the money. And I met some amazing people, the kind of people that you would meet just once in a lifetime. And I had some incredible experiences simply because I'd done so much. But at the end of the day, when I came back to my house, I always felt unfulfilled, like I was missing out on something. I was missing out on life. And I was trying so hard to discover who exactly I was and what I was meant to be. So finally, a day did come when I discovered who I was, and I could look into the mirror, and say and look at myself, my reflection in the mirror, and say, Joshua, you're okay. You're okay the way God has created you. You don't have to try hard to please anybody else. You're okay. God already accepts you the way you are. Now you accept yourself. So there actually came a day when I could look up to God and say, God, thank you. Thank you for making me the way I am. I'm all right. I'm okay. And I'm pretty pleased with what you've given me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So there actually came a day when I could say those words, but it came pretty late in life. So my friend, I would also encourage you that understand yourself, understand your personality, how God has created you so lovingly, how wonderfully He has fashioned you, so that you might be able to accept yourself, you might be at peace with yourself, and you might be able to flow with what God has planned for you in this life. So now turn to page number 4, where you have those 4 circles, a blank circle that you see. Fill in your own profile from what you've understood so far, about the mind, the will, and the emotions. Exactly the way that you saw me prepare mine, strong in the area of emotions, and then in the mind and the will. Prepare your own so that you have a very clear understanding of what exactly are your strengths and what are your weaknesses.